Today we are going to be talking about a no BS guide of how to get an aesthetic physique in the mid 25. Felt like making this video because there's a bunch of misinformation nowadays, and it's really not that complicated. It's pretty simple to kind of just do everything effectively and train properly, eat properly, all of that kind of stuff. Alright, so basically, credentials right there. There is my quote-unquote aesthetic physique or whatever. OBS aesthetics. That is the tagline. It's going to be broken down to 3 different parts. Part 1, genetics. The end of the day, if you do not have the genetics for a certain physique, you are not going to look that way. It doesn't matter how hard you train, how kind of exercises you do, how much you eat, how many steroids you take. It doesn't matter. You cannot get yourself to a certain physique if that is not how your genetics are laid out. I'd like to show off a prime example of this. Our absolute Lord and Savior, Clark Kent. Absolutely phenomenal physique. Absolutely, that's crazy. Just super, honestly, like, massive guy. Here's one thing that you will automatically notice about his physique. His rib cage, very, very tight. Like, you can see it. It's very small. Same with his waist. Connects very, very, very easily. Wide calves, too. Just very spread out and everything. One of the big things that you will notice, here is me. I have extremely long arms. Narrow out once I get up to my forearms, just because they are that big. Like, there's nothing I'm ever going to be able to do for my wrist size that will never get bigger. Closer up to my elbow, my forearms might get a little bit bigger if I train the muscle a little bit more, but besides that, it will not change at all. Like, I'm able to like connect my hands all the way around them, just like that. Always been able to do that, and there's nothing I can do about that. I will never be able to live that down no matter what I do. Part 2, and I kind of want to break this up into percentages too. So I'm going to say your genetics play probably about 20% role whether or not you get a good physique or not, because most people will blame their genetics and say how bad their genetics are and stuff, when in reality it's a blessing in disguise. They'll be like, oh, I have such long arms and stuff, but it's just they've never seen somebody who has super long arms do something like that, or they'll be like, oh, I want like a super narrow waist or whatever. Wesley Vissers, who is like one of the Wesley Vissers, he is revered right now as one of the runner-ups for Mr. Olympia, and he doesn't have a small waist or anything. Dude's got one of the blottiest waists I've ever seen. Look at that. That's him before he was even enhanced, and he's got a super blotty waist, but he's made his upper body just so big and expanded his lats so much that it compensates for it. So the problem is that so many people blame their genetics for all their stuff, when in reality they've got really good genetics. Part 2, diet and nutrition. How do you spell nutrition? Nutrition. I'm going to say this equates for 50% of everything that happens. And there's going to be plenty of people in the comments, I already know that, going to be like, Ghost, no, you can't be saying that, because diet's only going to account for some things. You can eat properly and not gain muscle and stuff and everything. Here's my correlation. You're not going to get a good lift if you don't have proper carbs in. You're not going to get good recovery if you're not eating the proper meals and stuff and getting good micronutrients and everything, and being sure that you're hitting your calories and getting all of your macros in and everything. It comes down to being very, very, very dependent on what you eat and everything. A good kind of layout that I use, depending on whether you're cutting or bulking. Well, nowadays they try and kind of emphasize, or like really, like, I don't know how to put it, like really emphasize getting in like all of your like protein, and they're like, oh, I had 2 grams of fat, I'm gonna die or whatever. When in the reality, it's not that deep, honestly. Like, if you're trying to lose body fat, obviously you're gonna want to cut out like most of your fat and everything, because that's just what it correlates to. But it's like, it's not too bad to the point where it's like you're starving yourself. Like, you have your egg whites and stuff. Even then, you can swap them out for regular eggs. Like, for example, I'm cutting right now, and I'm on 1860 calories. Yeah, 1860 calories a day, and most of my carbs and stuff and fats are coming from my pre-workout meal, which I'm having a banana, a Pop-Tart, and some honey, just because that's when I honestly prefer it to get all my carbs in right then and there, so that it's not like, oh, I'm sprinkling them in to try and feel better throughout the rest of the day. I just like having all my carbs before my lift because it lets me feel really, really energized and gives me the energy I need, because I'm already having like nothing in my system, period. A good percentage macro ratio. If you're cutting, I like to say that you should do probably about 0.7 protein per pound. A million people debate this everywhere and everything. What's like proper for like, oh, this is going to generate the most muscle growth, this isn't, this isn't. I honestly stopped caring a long time ago, and as long as I'm getting relatively close to my body weight, or like a little bit under, like within 70% of my body weight, I feel great the next day, and I feel like I'm making progress. So, I mean, if it's not broke, like, why go through all of that struggle to fix it? Obviously, like, if you have the option to have more protein, don't deny it, like, have your protein and stuff. But like, if you're struggling and it's like the end of the day, like, you don't have to like shove food down your throat until like there's no tomorrow. Like, if you're 150 pounds and you've gotten 100 grams of protein in for the day, I would just call it quits there, as opposed to trying to add in more macros and everything. I would just call it quits there, and the next day I would just say, okay, I'm gonna try and eat a little bit more, but if I can't, it's not the end of the world. Like, you're not gonna die to it. But 0.7 grams of protein, just that's dependent on you as a person and stuff. But then when it comes to your fats and carbs, obviously it's gonna vary the percentage of protein that you use. But for fats, I typically like to go around 35%, and the rest of the percentage I'll just fill in with carbs and everything. But 5% fats. But people have told me that this is very, very high, and my response to that is I really, really, really enjoy the added benefits of having a higher fat diet. The problem is that whenever I start to go into a calorie deficit, my hormones tank very severely, and I get very sluggish and droopy, and I don't want to ever do anything. So this helps me a lot by being able to really just focus on everything and make sure that my hormones are in check, and that I'm still feeling good whenever I do my lifts, and that it doesn't really make me feel like I'm losing weight, but I am. Like, the body fat's still going down and everything, and all of that, and everything else, it's not too complicated. Part that everybody's gonna hate me for, this one's gonna be a doozy. Part 3. Training cardio. As much as you want to see your favorite fitness influencer say for the millionth time, oh, well, if you just eat less calories. Yes, if you eat less calories, it's gonna cause you to lose weight. Yes, but you don't want to lose that weight due to you not eating more. Like, if you had the option to either eat 1,500 calories a day and not do any cardio, or eat 2,300 calories a day and do enough cardio to burn off 800 calories, I would take the latter, because you're getting all of the macros from it and everything, and the only stuff you're burning off is going to be fat and your carbs. So, I mean, why deprive yourself of that? And besides that, like, you don't want to be huffing and puffing while you're doing your cardio and everything. It's some fine shit. See you doing cardio, strike up conversation with her or something. Like, come on, that's the method. But don't overcomplicate it. cardio, it's really not that hard of a thing to do every day, but the main problem is that people will be like, yeah, I don't really like doing cardio, so I'm gonna start with Stairmaster or something. And my response to that is, oh, well, do you enjoy Stairmaster? And they're like, no, I want to do a treadmill, but Stairmaster burns more calories. But the best kind of cardio, I'm gonna say this exactly as my Allfather TNF once said, the best kind of cardio is the one that you can do most consistently. So let's say, for example, you hate doing the treadmill. Like, it is the bane of your existence. You hate doing it and stuff. But, on the contrary, you love sitting in the sauna. People are going to say, oh, well, you're not doing it. I mean, it's going to take a lot longer to reach the same result as the treadmill and everything. But by all means, if you prefer doing that, I would much rather you do that than something else. Finally, the last part that is gonna be, honestly, in my opinion, the least important, but still sort of kind of important to some degree. It's gonna be your training. Now, the big thing that people have been doing nowadays that I've kind of started to niche onto is tapping into the science-based lifting and everything. Now, to some degree, you kind of gotta take it with a pinch of salt, because according to them, full body every other day is the highest frequency training that you can do, and that's going to be the most optimal split and everything. I tried it once, I didn't enjoy it, and so I already knew, if I'm not going to enjoy this, I'm not going to want to train hard, and I'm not going to want to show up to the gym, and it's like, if I'm not even going to want to work out, like, what's the point of me showing up? So the best split is going to be the one that you can do most consistently. Like, I know some people that's like, they want to have the frequency, but they also really like hitting some individual body parts. So what they do is they do upper, lower, rest, push, pull, legs, rest. And it's a 6-day split then, but it works for them just because. And so it's like, that's a 7-day split. I'm bad at numbers, but whatever is going to let you work out most consistently and the highest frequency, because in the end, people will talk about volume, people will talk about like intensity and stuff. Frequency is going to be like the big thing that's mainly pushing you. I mean, you can look at Arnold and Mike Mentzer even. Like, the whole reason that Arnold was able to keep up with Mike Mentzer was because Mike Mentzer was focused on recovery, which is a big part, but not as big. And Arnold was doing one chest workout in the morning, one chest workout in the afternoon, then he would come back the next day, do another workout and stuff. He was working out like 2-3 times every day, and yeah, his muscles were falling apart, but because he had so much frequency, and he was on a shit ton of stuff that allowed him to just basically recover that fast, it came out to being one of the best ways that he was able to grow at the time, and nobody really thought about that, but now it's like we look back on that and we don't even realize it. Frequency is king. I don't want to get into a bunch of like big terms and everything, but basically intensity is how hard you can push on something, and people are going to talk about like, oh, what's the, like, with the stability and this and that. Basically, it's just the best way that I can put it is the more stable an exercise is, the harder you're going to be able to push on it. So, for example, let's say you have a dumbbell bench press or something. I'm going to draw the dude. The whole point of dumbbell bench press is he's trying to work out his chest right there. Grow some big double D titties. There you go, give him some nipples. He's trying to work out his chest, right? But he's going to indirectly be working his shoulders too, because part of the whole reason is that he's pushing up and he's going to be training his shoulders because there's shoulder flexion, obviously. But there isn't anything to keep the dumbbell from rolling back that way or sliding down that way. And so the only thing that's going to be stabilizing it is going to be his elbows and shoulders and triceps and everything. And if we were trying to train all of that stuff, sure, that would be good. But this is meant to be a chest exercise. So we're going to want him to do something a little bit more stable. So I'd recommend doing a chest press instead. So it's like this has a fixed path. So it's a weights up there. And let's say the range of motion is this thing goes up that way. As he pushes, the only direction it's going to go is out and up like that. This could go any way or anything. So he's able to basically turn his brain off and just tell his body to push. And no matter what, it's going to go out and up. So that's going to force his chest to activate, and so he's just going to not be thinking about anything else. It's just more stable at the end of the day. And so the best exercises are going to be the ones that you can do most stably and everything. I try not to deal with fatigue too much. Fatigue is basically when you're training and stuff and you basically overexert yourself almost. I do 2 sets per muscle group mostly, sometimes 4. It just depends on the muscle group I'm trying to train. Like, for example, this day that this photo was taken, I did for chest and I did chest fly. I did 2 for bicep, just strict bicep curl. 2 for tricep with a extreme extension. I did 2 sets of shoulder press and 2 sets of lateral raises, and then 2 sets of pullovers for my back, and that was it. So altogether I did 12 sets for this pump. So I don't know, maybe we'll put out a blueprint and call it my 12 set upper body workout or something. But basically just want to go over everything again. Don't be a bitch to your genetics. You know, they're a very important role and they define who you are. Love them. Diet and nutrition. Make sure that that is on point and that you are getting everything in. Make sure that your training and cardio is on point. Cardio. It doesn't matter if you're going for a walk. It doesn't matter if you're riding your bike. It doesn't matter if you're fucking. As long as you're doing your cardio every day, you're still getting it in. Whenever you're training, you want it to be as frequent as possible, and you want all of the movements to be stable because that equals intensity. Just don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it stupid. Just train like this, eat like this, and pray that you have good genetics, and from there you can look pretty fucking good. That is about it. See ya.